Today's message from Reverend Christian Sorensen was recorded on January 21st, 2018, and it's Back to the Basics, Part 2, Affirming, I Am Spirit Expressing. And today we welcome back the awesome talent of singer-songwriter Jamie Lula. And if you come to the episode show notes for today, January 21st, 2018, you can find links there to his website or his Facebook page. And as a bonus, we've also included a link to the video shown in this service. It's titled, God Doesn't Make Mistakes. Come visit us at seasidecenter.org and join us in Encinitas, California on a Sunday sometime, where we always have great music, a spirited message, and a joyful, loving, vibrant community that await you.
It is my honor to introduce our guest artists. And today, I just love this person. He's such a wonderful spirit and just so grateful when he's here. He has music. He's performed here many times. And I just love every time he's here, he just brings his whole self and shares his music, his message, his ministry. And I'm just so excited that I get to be here with you today. So he has a concert actually later today in Mission Viejo at In Spirit so later today. So we're so grateful that he's down here with us today and then making his way up there. So without further ado, please help me welcome Jamie Lula.
International jet setter there. Oh, Lord. Grateful to be here. Grateful for the power of women. This is a song I wrote with Gary Lynn Floyd. We're working on a new record for this new year. This is a song called To the Love, which we can all use a little bit more of. Y'all ready? Yeah. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Every step that I make infinitely co-create. Every breath that I take feeds my soul, and I'm awake to the love and the power, to the love like no other, to the love so divine in my heart, my head, my mind, to the love. Every face that I see, I know God in them and me. Every prayer lives in peace, offering sweet release to the love and the power, to the love like no other, to the love so divine in my head, my heart, my mind. Where once door would closed, all are open. Where once left behind, all are welcome. Come on in, open your heart to the love and the power, to the love like no other, to the love so divine in my hand, my heart, my mind. Oh yeah, to the love and the power, to the love like no other, to the love so divine in my head, my heart, my mind, in my head, my heart, my mind.
That is Mr. Jamie Lula. Woo, Jamie, I think you got a keeper there. That's a good one. I trust you working out the bugs. You can debut at a convention next month in front of all the people. Yeah, that's good. All right, Jamie Lula. Okay, so here we are. This morning's message is in conjunction with what most of the centers around the globe are doing. Our centers for spiritual living traditionally in the month of January go back to the basic ideas of the science of mind as presented by Dr. Ernest Holmes, who wrote the book The Science of Mind, which became our textbook, and he created these introductory chapters. There's 4 of them in the beginning. That's kind of the basic overview. And last week was the first chapter, which was the thing itself, where we spoke about the presence or the God, the life force, that breath, that all initiating something, that abundance, that the essence for which we are. That was the thing itself, is what we spoke about last week. And today, we're going to take a look at the second 2 introductory chapters, which is the way it works, which is the second one, and what it does is the third one. And so as we begin to explore this, I want us to hear something that Ernest said in the very first line of that second chapter. And he said that the science of mind is not a revelation to any individual, but rather it is the culmination of all revelations. And that as we come to understand the universal good, that is ours to use. But it's as we come to understand it, that is the key here. That is how it works. And so what's important is to recognize that no matter what is going on in your life, you can come to understand a greater expression of that spirit that is possible at any aspect of your life. It always has been, it always will be, and forevermore. That is what infinite means. You know, there's no beginning, middle, or end. It is fully present, fully available in every location, omnipresent, forever and ever. Amen. Not just with us, but, some of the stories from that guy Jesus, one of the things that, he said, or supposedly, said that, men usually meet violence with more violence. You got that? I mean, he didn't probably say it exactly like that, but you get the gist. That guys usually meet violence with more violence. Men resist violence with more violence. How's that work so far? Yeah, not very good. Is that the answer? Yeah, I don't think so. But he went on to say, I do have the answer. And that is to love those that hate you. To love your enemy. Love those that hate you. Like, ta-da! Like, whoa! Ooh, yeah! I mean, ka-ching! That is like, that's just different. If up till then, most guys respond with hate, he's saying, try loving those that hate you. Is like, now that is a different kind of approach. That is like a revelation. That is a guy who's saying, here's the answer. Love those that hate you. Pray for those that despitefully make you serve them. It's like, I'm going to break with tradition here. I mean, check this out. I'm going to do something different. It's called a paradigm shift, a quantum leap. It is busting with the customs. But if you want something different in your life, you got to try to do something different. And this is the way it works. See, the way it works is as we come to understand the potential and possibility, and we become the channel through which it expresses, we break our by rote pattern. We begin to change in our life that I've been doing this like this and this. I've been thinking like this. You know what? I'm going to change this in my world. I'm going to try something a little bit different. And if you want something different, you got to be willing to rearrange your life. You've got to be willing to allow something new to emerge. You've got to allow yourself to awaken, to ripen, to be the place in which that spirit can show up in a different kind of way. And the pain comes if you are insisting on the way you think it's supposed to be. Think about that. When you're insisting this is the way it is supposed to be, that's where the pain comes, because now you've got to defend what it is you think it is supposed to be, as opposed to being open to spirit showing up in a new kind of way in our life. It can show up in ways that are different if I am willing to be different. And as I allow myself to have something new show up, that's how I discover new aspects of myself. I would like to be over there, but right here is where I am. I like over there, but here is the only place I could be. I mean, I'd like to be over there where it's all handled already. That'd be sweet. And maybe you can throw in a little extra wealth, and a little buff body, and and all of my loved ones, that they would never die. And, while I'm at it, I might as well throw in a little no more climate change kind of concept. It's just over there would be good, but here is where I am. Here is where the Spirit is. And all of a sudden, I have got to be that place in which the emergence of the greater good can show up. So Ernest writes this chapter from his book, The Science of Mind, which I said has become our textbook. It came out originally in 1927. And so he writes on page 36 from this chapter, for all you, as I said last week, textbook toad metaphysicians. All of you brought it this week, right? I'm in paragraph 3 on page 36. It says that if God is to interpret itself to us, it must interpret itself through us. For the Spirit can make no gift that we cannot accept. It's pretty good. Yeah. It's going to interpret itself. It's got to be through your awareness. And it's given you everything. It's infinite. But you got to be willing to accept it. For the thing then works for us. That's the way it works. The thing then works for us by working through us, in us, is us always. It cannot work for us in any other way because it spreads itself out over the whole universe because it's infinite. And it shouts at us from every angle. But it can become power to us only when we can recognize it as power. Therefore, our belief sets the limit to our demonstration of a principle which of itself is without limits. It is ready to fill everything because it is infinite. So it is not a question of its willingness nor its ability. It's entirely a question of our receptivity. What do you think about that? Yeah, pretty good. We talked about it being infinite. Its ability can do anything. And so the limitation only comes down to our acceptance, our understanding, our belief. It's done unto you as you believe is what we heard. Like cause and effect, law of mental equivalent. What goes around comes around. The law of correspondence. You can say what you want. You cast upon the waters. It comes back. That is the way it works. There is this reciprocating kind of action of the universe. And so as you can begin to expand the greater possibility, that's exciting. When you're willing to break your rote or your old ways of believing or the old ways in which it has been done, that is when the newness can begin to come in and lift up. The struggle comes when you're trying to hold on to the way it's supposed to be or the way it has been and not creating the space for the natural rising of the evolution, of the emergence of the greater yet to be that is seeking to move through you as a channel and an infinite kind of expression. And so, Plato said, we can forgive our children who are afraid of the darkness. The tragedy is our men who are afraid of the light. The light. The possibilities. Why? Well, I don't know. Why would we be afraid of a greater expression, greater abundance, greater creation? Maybe because we don't feel we're worthy enough. I'm not sure. But what I know about a sense of unworthiness, it's just a mistaken sense of our identity. Unworthiness is a mistaken sense of our identity because for some reason we forget that we're the infinite that is seeking to express itself in our life. And so when we're not happy in our life, unhappiness is circumstantial. Unhappiness is situational. It's not attitudinal. Your happiness, or I should say happiness is attitudinal because you know what? The situation is saying or dictating whether I'm happy or not happy. So I guess I should be saying in a greater way that our happiness is attitudinal. I'm going to take what is going on because what I know is going on is that this infinite power, this infinite presence is constantly saying, here, Christian, let me bombard you with a greater possibility, greater abundance, greater love, greater health, greater ways of being. You can walk through this world with a sense of fulfillment and success and creativity and self-expression, more power. Here it's like, no. I'm afraid of my brightness. Why? This great video. Did you see this, Mark? Can you run this? It's about a dog trying to love up this kid who wants nothing to do with it. The Spirit is there saying, I love you. And why is it that we keep turning it away? See, the way it works is that it works through you at the level of your acceptance, at the level of your understanding as we continue to expand whatever is going on in our life and our world begins to be the place in which Spirit can show up. There was this reporter who was in the Middle East covering the wars, and he spotted a kid, a little boy, who was playing this flute. And it looked kind of awkward, the flute. It looked actually really heavy. So the reporter asked the kid if he could see the flute. And the kids, showed it to him. And what he noticed is that it was an old gun barrel that had been discarded in a war zone. And this kid picked it up, plugged up the ends of this old metal barrel, but got some holes plucked into it, and started playing beautiful music with a flute. It just hits me that you can take that which was created for destruction, like this kid did, and play beautiful music with it. You can begin to take that which was meant for harm and create greater good with it. If you can catch a vision of something that is greater than what is taking place in life right now in this moment, what is taking place in your world. See, the way it works is it works through your field of awareness. And if you're caught up in that destructive, painful, scarcity, lack, limitation, constriction kind of place, that is what continues to be perpetuated in your life. But if you can take that rough moment and make beautiful music out of it, if you can begin to step into a greater possibility, and what I've noticed is the images begin to show up a little by little. It takes you to the next level. It takes you to the next level. And all of a sudden you begin to see things in a way in which that were not seen, because you are not going to continue by rote doing things or thinking things in the same way you had. Anna's Nin, wonderful bohemian American essayist. She was born to Cuban parents, grew up early days in France, but American. She wrote, there are few human beings who receive the truth completely and staggering, like, wow, by instant illumination. Most of us acquire it fragment by fragment on a small scale by successive developments like a mosaic. You got that? I see a possibility here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go here. And I see a little bit more, and all of a sudden I realize I can take this gun barrel and make beautiful music with it. All of a sudden I can realize that Spirit keeps pushing itself and its love and its possibilities upon me. I'm saying, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough. I don't think I can think like that, because that is not the custom. You return hate for hate. No, try turning love for hate. Well, I don't really got to take that first step, and then it begins to show up, and a new image emerges. Aristotle, who really talked a lot about the soul, said that the soul thinks in pictures. It comprehends in images. You got that? Our soul or our spirit catches something, but our brain tries to articulate it and define it with the words that have definitions within our culture. But the soul and the spirit is moving through us with images and hunches and inklings. It is the whole feminine expression that we can begin receptive to something that cannot quite be articulated, but is as real as can be. That is how it emerges in our life. Imagine if I were to try to explain to you what an avocado is, and you had not a clue what an avocado is. I mean, this used to be real for me with my Midwestern family in my early days. But I don't know what an avocado. It's kind of, I tell you, it's kind of shaped like a pear. But let's say you've never seen a pear, so you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, the color is, first it's kind of a light green, and then, kind of a dark green. Then it can be black. But you're colorblind, so you don't get what the color is. So I tell you, it kind of tastes a little bit like Vaseline. And for some odd reason, you've never tasted Vaseline in your world, you wouldn't have any sense what it is I'm talking about. Well, as we enter into a kingdom that cannot actually be defined, it's hard to articulate it. Have you ever tried to explain, or let's say, how would you explain, what an orchid is, to a person without sight? There's nothing like that. It's not so. Well, as we begin to talk about the kingdom, as we talk about the interdimensional aspects of our being, as we talk about the power of creation, as we begin to explore the infinite possibilities that we are worthy to be able to accept as much as Spirit in our life as we can begin to grasp, the people who don't get that haven't been there, who don't know what an avocado is, or don't have the sight and haven't a clue what you're talking about, will be quick to squash your pearl, to put it down, because they don't get it. And I've watched time and time again people lose their faith when it gets squashed by those that haven't been there. which is why it's important to begin to unfold the vision with those of like mind. It is why there's great value in being in a classroom with those that are on the metaphysical path, that are exploring new ways of thinking or a new thought. It's why it's valuable to work with a spiritual practitioner who is steeped in playing in that realm of the infinite. So you can be looked at and go, I can see that. Because it's possible for everyone. See, that's what law is. It's like, it's true for everyone. It's infallible. Anybody can use this, done unto you as you believe. What you cast upon the water is the correspondence. All those things I mentioned a moment ago. I was out yesterday outside in my garden. The wind was blowing. I was like, the wind gets me excited. And the trees were howling, and we get so little weather here. I had to go out and experience it. And so I was picking a couple avocados, from my tree, which is probably where the analogy came up with. By the way, I grabbed a couple avocados from one side of the house. On the other side, I've got my apple tree, which is bizarre because this is when it has apples. It's like pure liquid sugar. It is amazing, these apples this time of the year. And I noticed these roots are in the same ground as the avocado tree. And then I looked at my peach trees. And every year I say this, but these guys are crazy because they don't understand the calendar because they already have their peach blossoms beginning to pop up on it. I want to say, tree, you just don't know what's up. But I'm sure it does. But I noticed it had its roots in the same ground as the plum tree that is next to it that is not birthing itself at this point. And then I got my mango tree on the other side of the yard. And then we've got the kale that's growing in the boxes. And we have got my ginger roots all over the place. And the ginger roots are in the same ground as the kale roots are in the ground. And those ginger roots in the spring will come out and I'll have orange gingers and red gingers and yellow gingers and too many white gingers that smell magnificent. But I guess the point I'm going for here is that they're all in the same ground. In the front of the house are my lilies. In the back of the house are the plumerias, and they all have their roots in the same ground, and the diversity is amazing, and they are all worthy and all equal to receive the nourishment that is there. Well, we are all rooted in that same infinite expression that has all the nutrients to bring forth that which we are here to do in our life. It doesn't matter what side of the house you were on, we are all equal in our ability to be a channel to articulate, to create, and to demonstrate the expressions of that which is infinite. That is the truth of who we are. We're all equal with that. My mom used to tell me whenever I say hello, to a complete stranger, it's my heart acknowledging all are my family. Doesn't matter where they came from, what part of the world. We're all equal. We are all family. We're all on this journey together, sharing the same little marble in outer space called Earth. Moving forward, we're equal. And so yesterday, it was the Women's March. Last year when the women did their walk, it was the single largest day in American history of people walking or marching in our country. And so again, yesterday, the women of our nation in 300 locations in all 50 states, actually around the planet, whether it was in Europe or Paris or London or Australia, it was all over the planet. The women were walking in solidarity, not protesting and not resisting, but proclaiming their equality, that this is who we are. We are equal. And the emphasis this last week was to make sure you get out and vote. Because you know what? If we're all equal, we all have an equal voice, but you got to voice it. You got to let the presence and the voice be known. And so Callie and her Seaside sisters, they chartered a big old bus. We had more than 50 of our women go down to the march yesterday, and nice job, women. 350.org said that there were 45,000 people walking in San Diego. New York had over 100,000. One report said 400,000. LA had hundreds of thousands of individuals that were walking in solidarity and say, we're equal, guys. And, we're just done with being treated second-class citizen. The harassment that has probably just been part of history since the beginning of time, that I am stronger so I can dominate, I can harass. Sexual harassment is no longer an acceptable practice because what has transpired, particularly, in this last year, it's been coming for a long time, but this year, there is something that has burst the bubble and has said enough is enough. Doesn't matter if you are a lion in whatever corporation or family or structure that you are in, it does not give anyone the right to treat somebody less than an equal human being in this world, and let alone sexually harass them in demanding things that are not appropriate. And our culture backs this. Did you see Time Magazine's Person of the Year this year? Did you see who they claimed were the silence breakers? Those individuals that were courageous enough to say, me too. That said, enough is enough, and we're no longer going to... And all of a sudden, the wave and the momentum has changed, and the silence breakers were the ones that were called the individuals of the year. We saw Oprah at the Golden Globe stand up and give an amazing speech. And in the audience were... many of the women didn't show up with male partners that evening. They shared up with other powerful women, all wearing black in solidarity. And it was powerful. But what was missing, at least from my perspective, were any of the men standing up and making the speeches in support of no longer harassment. That's what was missing in that. And what I know is quality men do not fear equality. That we have got to stand as one human family, equal together, enabling each other to have that equal footing in this world, as we are here to create a world that works for everyone, as we are here to create a one human family that is sharing this planet, where we all have the equal opportunities to create the magnificence for which we came here to be, because Spirit is stirring in our soul, and we know this. I mean, talking about equality is not some big revelation in our spiritual expression. I get that. We all get it, but there's a big difference between knowing something and applying it in our life. I mean, at least I know that I should probably be eating buckets of kale rather than tubs of Haagen-Dazs, you know. But there's a big difference between knowing this and actually beginning to do that. What we have got to do is begin to take charge and apply these principles of the science of mind that talks about all of us are divine channels that can bring forth the infinite expression. And it is not about returning hatred with hatred, but it's about seeing a place where there is a challenge and taking that hatred and turning it into love. Taking that gun barrel and turning it into a beautiful expression of music, which was created initially for a destructive purpose. I am going to not continue en route on the patterns that have been set before me, and I'm going to establish a new vibration, a new countenance, and a new level of being in this world, so we can all move up together to a greater expression of this divine in a way that supports us as individuals and humanity as a whole. And as we begin to practice the spiritual principles, not only for ourselves, but to give the space for our brothers and sisters to practice that, and we begin to live rather than bound by cause and effect, but under the expression of grace. We begin to live under the expression of grace, realizing that I need to apply it in my life. I need to express it in my world. As I said, we can know one thing, but it doesn't make it so. You've got to live it. You can know about the North Pole, and that is a great place. Great first step is to know about the North Pole if you want to go there, but you have to begin on that arduous journey to the North Pole if you want to have the experience. You can know about God, but there's a big difference between knowing about God and being that God expression. It comes down to the way it works is it works through you, it expresses through you, and as the Spirit moves, you cannot tell God what to do. So often people think I can get God to give up its position for me to do what it is I want, and that's the pain I was talking about. Is it supposed to be like this, God? No. We cannot get God to deflect its eternal expression on behalf of me. What needs to happen is for me to give up my position and step into the greater position that is seeking to emerge, that love, that kindness, that expression of equality, a braveness to willing to stand along with other individuals who are brave enough to say, me too, I believe that we are in this together, that it is, we are all equal, and everyone is entitled to an equal chance to create the wonder in their life without being put down because there are some in a position of power that said no. Because Spirit says yes, life has always said yes, and it responds to your level of consciousness. It doesn't just happen, it is what you can understand, it is what you can embrace. Ernest Holmes, he writes in this book, in the next chapter, on page 40, he said that we're immersed in the infinite intelligence, a mind that knows all things. It is also true that this intelligence can equate us with its ideas only as we are willing to receive them. For the divine mind is infinite, it contains all knowledge, all wisdom, but before it can reveal its secrets, it must have an outlet. That's you. This outlet we shall be compelled to supply through our own receptive mentalities. But if your mentality is scarcity, holding people down, being rude, whatever it is, that's what reciprocates back. Perhaps the simplest way to state the proposition is to say that we're surrounded by a mind or intelligence that knows everything. The potential knowledge of all things exists in this mind, but this is what it does. What we draw from it, we must draw through the channel of our own minds. The Spirit can give us only what we can take. It imparts of itself only as we take of its nature. It can tell us only what we can understand. The infinite knowingness becomes our wisdom only in such a degree as we embody its intelligence. It has been said that we can know God only insofar as we can become God. Pretty heavy. In some places call that blasphemy. We only know it to the degree in which we can become God, that we can become that expression. But have you not ever had the experience, an extraordinary experience, where you held the faith? You had a conviction. You had a deep knowingness that nobody else could quite get. And all of a sudden, things seemed to work out. An extraordinary portal opened up. All of a sudden, an amazing connection showed up. And all of a sudden, things came together to support that. An amazing something happened. It's as you come to know that Spirit, that all things are possible. And what it does is the impossible becomes possible as your experience in life. Because we say with Spirit, all things are possible. But you've got to be the outlet for that impossibility to begin to shape itself and form itself, and it tends to come together like that mosaic, a little piece here and a little piece there, and I see my next step, and it's emerging in my soul, and I begin to get it with my essence that it cannot really be articulated, but there's something inside of me. That which I am is knowing the greater possibility exists, and I begin to step in that, and I begin to know that it is possible not only for me, but for everybody to be able to live in this world with a sense of joy. That everyone can walk this world in a sense of happiness. That everyone can walk in this world with a sense of sufficiency. And we can do it with a balance upon this planet and this world, in a world in which it is equal for everyone. That's not some have and some don't, but it is equal for everyone to live in balance in this planet and this world and be taken care of in the manner that satisfies the soul. And what brings you fulfillment may not bring the next person. But what is possible? This is how Ernest ends this final chapter. He asks, what is possible? Everything is possible. How much of this good can you have? He says, all of it. So how much of this good can you have?
All of it.
One more time. How much of this good can you have?
All of it.
And how much of it can you use? He says, as much as you can embody. You got that? So how much of this good or Spirit can you use? But so how much of this good can you have? And how much of it can you use? God bless us as you embody all your good. I see it for you now. Hey, let's keep it going as we bring back to the stage Mr. Jamie Lula.
How much?
All of it.
And you don't have to wait until everything's perfect. It's just as you are. You're perfect. God can use you at any time. Oh, oh, oh. Naked. I'm naked. You can't see me. Naked. Lord, I'm naked. You can't see me. Because I've been hiding
behind my garbage, hiding behind my garbage. Naked, Lord, I'm naked. You can't see me. Frozen, I've been frozen in my history. Frozen, I've been frozen in my history. But I've been thawing in your love light, thawing in your love light. Frozen, I've been frozen in my history. Oh, dying, I've been dying to what I've been. Yeah. Oh, dying, I've been dying to what I've been. But I've been rising like Jesus showed me, rising like Jesus showed me. Dying, I've been dying to what I've been. Oh, 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 oh. Are you? Just as I am right here, right now, Lord, use me. Come on, Bob. I've been hiding and I've been frozen, Lord. dying, but I've been rising low. Naked, I'm naked. Can you use me? Oh, I'm naked, Lord, I'm naked. I know you can use me just as I am right here, right now, Lord. I'm naked, I stand before you naked. Oh, Lord, use me. Use me. Use me. Oh, use me.
That is Jamie Lula. Woo. Taking it to a whole nother level. Wow. Woo. First service didn't get it that good, I can assure you, man.